Hey everyone, it is High here bringing you a video on the future of Spider-Man in the MCU and really Sony versus Disney, the negotiation. Very interesting stuff here. So with that, if you are new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. So yeah, big shout out to Box Office Mojo for some details there, and we're going to talk about this whole thing with possibly the death of Spider-Man as we know it in the MCU. You know me, I'm a big MCU fan, I'm a big movie fan. I did reviews, things of that nature on the channel. Definitely check out those videos in the other section. Now, I just wanted to talk about the situation that's going down right now with Sony versus Disney, primarily Marvel Studios. And some people don't know that Sony bought the rights from Marvel a long time ago. And if you guys remember way back when the original Spider-Man, that was a Sony production. And really every movie since, you know, the brand new Far From Home, Homecoming, those movies were a collaboration with Disney and Marvel Studios. Now, the details to this is very, very interesting. And the reason why a lot of people are up in arms and trying to say, you know, boycott Sony, which I don't understand, boycott Sony, more or less kind of, you can't boycott the MCU, but because they didn't want to go along with the deal. Let's talk about the deal. Let's talk about where the breakdown was when it comes to the negotiations. So originally Sony owns all rights to Spider-Man, right? They bought this way back when they had the foresight to purchase this from Marvel and started making movies from it, and they did a very, very good job. Currently the deal right now is a 95-5 split. So from Homecoming and from Far From Home, it was a 95-5 split, which isn't that great for Disney. Still fantastic for Sony, but Marvel did a lot of its work in the MCU movies to continue to hype up Spider-Man. So that is the current negotiation, is saying that, hey, you know what, Disney says, yeah, we've put so much effort into hyping up Spider-Man and doing all this work. We own all the rights to the MCU. We want a 50-50 split from here on out. Now you might go, well, that kind of sounds fair because they did so much work to hype up in the previous movies, the last two movies. 5% really wasn't fair on Disney's side, but that was the original deal. They both made a lot of money because Disney didn't have to pony up and have to you know, have risk involved in distribution of that these last two movies. And they've both done very, very well. Now they said, you know, we want to recoup that with a 50-50 split. But if you think about it in a business sense, you go from 5 to 50. I think a easy no is going to happen when that is at such a huge jump. So as of right now, and this has become very public and people are talking about it, is there is no more deals with Marvel Studios and Disney with Sony. So as of right now, Spider-Man, the current version we know, is gone from the MCU if no deal gets signed. Now, we still have a lot of time before like a movie gets done, or, you know, what's the next chapter after Phase 4, stuff like that when it comes to Marvel Studios and the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, you know, who has the leverage? I guess that's, you know, the discussion here is, you know, who's right? Is Disney right saying that, hey, you know what, we did so much, we deserve a 50-50 split? Or is Sony right saying, we own all the rights of this, hey, thanks for helping out, but, you know, it is still my house, right? So let's look at, you know, history and see if we can kind of sort this all out. So first and foremost, let's take a look at the history here when it comes to, and this is using Box Office Mojo. Shout out to them again. I'll put their link in the description below. And we did this chronologically here. So Spider-Man is you know, came out originally and did $400 million domestically, and that was incredible. It was a smash hit. You know, Tobey Maguire, all that good stuff there. So then Superman 2 came out, a little dip there, still did 373, and then another dip with Spider-Man 3, right? So the Spider-Man 3 had an incredible opening, $151 million opening. And I forgot to mention Spider-Man 1, when that came out, I think it crushed records at that time, and then Spider-Man 2 wasn't a huge opening there, but all in all, it made a lot of money. Then Amazing Spider-Man came out, the era of Andrew Garfield, and those numbers just really dipped, right? So Amazing Spider-Man, New Spider-Man came out in 2012, 62 million opening, 262 domestic. It wasn't doing too good, and then it even got worse in 202 total. They had a better opening in Amazing Spider-Man 2. So then they said, you know, we got to do something in 2014, and they saw that, you know, the MCU was growing and growing, so now let's do a collaboration, right? And MCU really wanted Spider-Man to be a part of the Avengers and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so they end up creating this deal of a co-brand with Sony and the MCU being able to use Spider-Man in MCU movies, right? So they're able to do that, but still, if they were to develop movies within the MCU, Sony will keep 95%, and Disney would keep 5%. So that was the original deal. So after those two, so you had Spider-Man Homecoming. Into the Spider-Verse is all Sony. There was no MCU when it comes to that, and I thought probably all of these, that's the best movie out of all of them, is Into the Spider-Verse. But anyway, and then finally, currently right now, is Spider-Man Far From Home, having a huge success at 377 million domestically. So that's number 2, the second best total movie when it comes to the chronological order here. So if you move on to then inflation adjusted, if you look at that, then you're looking at Spider-Man being on the top spot, inflation adjusted, right? So, and you know, Spider-Man 1, 2, and 3 is on the top spot, and then Far From Home is in the number 4 spot. So when you think about it, Sony in the first 3 definitely didn't need Marvel at that time. They were able to make a lot of money and do very well. I think they definitely panicked when the Amazing Spider-Man and the reboot came out, and they said, you know what, we'll lend you Spider-Man for the time being, and 5%, not a huge deal. Okay, we'll do that because we're thinking about doing a reboot anyway, right? So, and then Into Your Spider-Verse, that's on the bottom there. It didn't make that much, but I still think it's the best movie on there. So if you look at worldwide, Far From Home actually takes the spot because domestically it's number 4. Actually, it's number 2, uninflation adjusted, and it's made over $1 billion. So that's huge, right? It made over $1 billion, and I think that's where Disney says, you know what, man, we've built this up, and we're only getting 5% of this $1 billion. And Sony's like, yeah, thank you so much. But Spider-Man is still a pivotal role, and has helped the MCU out. That was the original agreement, and I think, you know, what's fair and fair when it comes to contracts. But now, with Disney saying we want 50%, right, 50, that's a big pill to swallow for Sony, saying, hey, you know what, this is our brand, we bought this, we own 100% rights, we lent you 5% to still make this incredible story, the relationship with Tony Stark, Iron Man, all that good stuff. We could just easily take this back and do a reboot, right, and start over and put it into this Venom universe that they kind of made. And Venom had a really good success on there. But the question is, was Venom successful because the popularity of the MCU helping Spider-Man boost that up? So it's tough to say. Is Sony making a bad decision? I don't think so, because it's 50%. You know, you're going from 5 to 50. That's a really crazy number. So what happens to, you know, Tom, not Hiddleston. Why am I saying Hiddleston? Why can't I? Tom. Oh my goodness. Why can't I think of his name now? Tom Holland. Jeez. I'm thinking Tom Hiddleston. I can't get that out. Anyway, Tom Holland. What happens to Tom Holland? Well, the nice thing about being an actor, you don't have to worry about all the distribution and everything. Like he does, you know, hey, if you're gonna make a movie, put me into it. I think Tom Holland is safe. If they did a reboot, it'll be a reboot of the universe. I don't think Tom Holland is going to be the scenario there. I don't think he'll join Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire as in the graveyard, and they're going to recast them. I think Tom Holland has been amazing Spider-Man, no pun intended, and so far the best one out of the 3. A lot of people still like Tobey Maguire. So anyway, Tom Holland is, I think, safe on this. They don't have to worry, but it's really about the companies that own these properties. What are they going to do? So here's my solution, right? Here's my solution. Let's try to make everybody happy. I think 50% is way too much for Disney to ask, even though they have the big MCU machine, right? We have so much here to offer, but the character in Spider-Man that Sony owns is even, it's very important, I think, in the MCU as well. So I think a 75-25 split with MCU crossovers that Sony really doesn't get anything out of is a pretty good deal. I think they might get to this point, maybe 80-20, but 75-25, a quarter split between the rights and the profits and all that good stuff. I think it's fair. The Marvel Studios machine, the timeline, the universe they've built, that's worth a lot for Spider-Man to be in that, and then creating content within his own universe, Spider-Man's universe, to make their movies on there, right? So 75-25 I think is a good split, and with having that MCU crossover, having the Feige machine do its thing. So I think that's fair. What do you guys think? Comment below, let me know what your thoughts on this whole situation is. I think if they did it this way, we'll have a happy Sony, a happy Disney and Marvel. But the question is, these are billion-dollar, multi-billion-dollar companies. Is ego the biggest issue, or is it just business? Right now, I think it's just business. I think 50% was just uncalled for. And if they get it down to, your 20-25% range, I think that's a fair medium, and I think everything will be fine. It was looking bleak. I think the whole internet was kind of talking about it, and I just wanted to make this quick video. I think it will be resolved, and the death of Spider-Man as we know it in MCU may not happen, but we might have a delay in the next movie, because if Disney says no, then Sony's gonna have to kind of reboot the universe, which I think it's gonna be fine. They can kind of keep it within New York. It doesn't have to go to space, doesn't have to go to Europe and all that stuff. Keep it in New York, keep it in the Bronx and Queens and Manhattan and all the boroughs, and be your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and kind of go from there. So anyway, with that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you are new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff, and thank you guys for watching. We'll catch you next time.